Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at some cards that have been damaged by tag. This is not something uncommon. It happens at all the grading companies, and how they handle it is largely the important part. You're taking a risk if you send your cards in for grading. You're taking a risk if you send cards to somebody else. There's the shipping company that could lose it or steal it on both ends if you're sending to grading. Also, if you add a middleman, you're adding points of failure, and then the graders themselves, depending on how many people are fondling your cards, on its way into the case, after it goes into the case, into the package, all of those steps, there are points of failure. So I guess the blind, the newbie sort of take that like, hey, I got my childhood cards. They mean a lot to me. I don't care that they're low grades, that I had them in my pocket when I was a little kid. I just want them protected. I want to encapsulate them. You can buy products. You do not need to have it graded by a company to know that it's real, especially if you had it as a child. Just know if there is sentimental value attached to the cards that you're sending in, even if they make it right, even if they reimburse you for your loss, if you're just flipping and dipping. That's not really the case with a childhood Charizard like the one we're going to take a look at today. So many of the threads were, I guess, removed by Reddit and or moderators of some kind. We got a little tail end remnants of what happened here, but I'm gonna skim through it here. Right, we got a Charizard. It's not the greatest. It's a childhood Charizard, and it's one of those things that it would be a shame if it could go missing. Now it's in the case, and for some reason we have a whole layer of this thing ripped off of it. I'm still not entirely sure how that would happen at the grading company. Like, what did they put tape on it and let it rip like a Beyblade? I don't know. I don't know if we get a full explanation here from what happened, but apparently it was encapsulated. There was a problem with the case itself. They took it out of the case and it got damaged somewhere along those lines when it was getting put back in another case, or before it got put back in another case. The QA, which I have a hard time believing exists at any of these companies, at least to any significant manner, because the amount of stuff, the upside down cards, the wrong language, there's like glaringly obvious stuff that we've taken a look at on the channel here, where it's just like, there's no way someone double check this. Yes, errors are going to happen. Yes, they probably only have, at most of these grading companies, 30 seconds per card to go through this stuff. Yes, it is somebody that is not getting paid very much money, or you would be paying a lot for grading. Whether it's computer assisted, not computer assisted, these companies are in the business of putting shit in plastic as fast as possible, getting it back to you so that they can charge you more, so they can compete on price with the other grading companies. Trust yourself, not the grading companies. Even if you collect graded cards, you should be the expert, not them. Protect yourself as much as possible. All right, so we have update to a destroyed Charizard near mint 7. Well, I wish there was more of an update to be given. The LCS owner that submitted the cards for us was quick to respond to tag and also make his own social media post about it directly to tag. So this is one of those things. If you're tag, if you're any of the grading companies, just clean up the mess before it hits public eyes. Because then I'm making a video about it. The customer's upset. They're making posts about it. People are seeing it. People are going on. Just have it. Just nip it. It's gonna, even if it's gonna get resolved eventually, just do it as quickly as possible. Fix it. Make the customer happy, whatever that takes. If it means losing a little bit of money, so be it. We were contacted to return the card for regrading and investigation into how the damage could have occurred. It was mentioned that a failure to do so could delay compensation and result in a decertification of the slab and removal of the grading report. Shocker. So they should do that, but I think they need to be upfront and tell the customer what's going on here. It's like CGC with the playtest stuff, with the scam shit, where they're like, oh, send everything in, we'll figure it out. Shouldn't we figure out the details before it gets sent back in? Like, are they going to be compensated? That sort of thing. We do not feel comfortable sending the card back, I think for good reason. Totally agree. Also in a comment from one of Tag's admins, they mention having excessive monitoring at every station. That means they should be able to figure out without the card being present. Also, that this should have never happened. At the time, we are still awaiting a resolution from Tag on the matter. To address some concerns in previous comments, I will do my best to provide as much proof below that this is legitimate and not AI or photoshopped or a different card. I don't think anyone's thinking that. And we got, is there a response? There's no tag response on this one, but there is on this one here. We have a slightly longer video kind of showing the same thing. Wild. Like, I mean, it's kind of proof enough that it's not going to get a 7 if you have that big top left portion of the card ripped off like it is here. So I don't know if this is like anything to do with machinery, if there's any sort of, the card gets pulled in to do a scan and then just rip the living hell out of it. But if it was already graded, as tag is saying, and then put back through, or just put into another case, like, you would think that the encapsulation process would be more manual than anything else. And even then, mistakes happen, because if they get put in the case wrong, and there's these little holders here, the little ridges around the outside of the card, if the card gets squished between those, we get a good old pinchy winchy. I want to start by thanking everyone that has taken an interest in this story and support. It has been more than expected. Thank you. This is going to be a longer update, so please gather around and get comfy. I'm going to be as transparent as I can be about this experience and how truly upsetting it is. As everyone knows by now, we sent in a base set 2 Charizard into tag to be graded, and we received a destroyed near mint 7. By the way, guys, we're going to take a look later in the video at 2 more examples of something similar happening. And then we're going to talk about tag, my, I guess, note to tag, my warning to tag about somebody that was altering cards with video proof. And we're going to see if they deactivated and banned that customer. That's the more important point to me. Mistakes are going to happen, but it's not a mistake when you don't take action against the bad actors in the hobby. That's my gripe. That's where I care if the grading company does what's right or what's wrong. So stay tuned for that. We're going to get through this. What has not been mentioned is alongside the base set 2 Charizard, we also sent along a base set Charizard. I am the Charizard guy after all, which we received back in good condition. Very good 3 to be exact. In its encasement preserved as intended. We chose tag to encase our vintage cards because we believed into their more stringent grading process, detailed and transparent grading notes, and great looking slab. We felt we had done our research, and after reading the founder's reasons for starting the company, we believe we were sending out collectibles to a company that cared from a collector position, not just from a monetary gain. All right. I don't know about that. Again, it's a business. They're a business. Same with all the other grading companies. They're going to do what's in their best interest, what's going to make them money. If you're new to the hobby, the best thing you can possibly do is hold off on grading your cards, especially in market conditions like the ones currently. The options are a little bit limited in terms of if you want turnaround time that is reasonable, but also you don't feel like you're not adding any value with either of these grades. My apologies, but a near mint 7 or a 3, the odds of that selling for more than the near mint price, the odds of that selling of the exact same card, the odds of that selling for the near mint price plus the amount that you spent from grading plus the risk that you took in sending the cards back and forth, and then if it's a personal thing, do not feel like you need to put them in a graded slab. If you're not going to sell them ever at any point, which it sounds like what's going on here, please just avoid it. So we're not going to read through the whole thing here, but essentially he gets the little runaround here. They say send the card in, we got to deactivate it, all of that stuff. We got tag's statement down below here. Of course, they jump in. I got to give them credit. This is less aggressive than they had been in the past for people that were critical of their services and, you know, the slabs being too easy to crack open. That whole shenanigans. So good on them for being a little bit less aggressive, I guess, on this end. We want to start by saying again how truly sorry we are for what happened in this case. We've been in ongoing contact with the customer as well as the person who submitted it on their behalf, and have already issued refunds of the grading fees and extended an offer to cover the fair market value of the card. That's good and all. It sucks, just to begin with, because if it's like a sentimental thing more than it is a value thing, then that's not good. Part of what that process requires having the card returned so it can be safely removed from the slab. Safely removed? The certification can be fully closed, and there's no risk of an invalid grade remaining in circulation. This is extremely important as to protect any prospective buyers and the secondary market for all tag graded cards. So this is one of those things where this is not an issue here. Can it be an issue? Would it be an issue with other people that are just buying and reselling? Absolutely. But your customer service needs to recognize straight off the bat that this is just somebody that graded their collection. And I'm sure they made that pretty clear. I haven't seen the exact messages, but you need to find that out. You need to make it clear what's going to go on, what's happening, what type of customer it is. And yes, if you just have a default copy-paste, garbage-ass reply system, which is at least a step above what BGS has, could seemingly never gets back to you because there's probably very few people working there, and they send you around circles. It's a lot of this. So like easy for a company to have, just like you see, it's in there. Have the person that's answering the emails be able to see, hey, this Charizard has a big piece ripped off of it and it's still got a 7. We should do what we need to A, make the customer happy, because you're lucky that you have customers as a new grading company, especially one that's going to spend money on your services that doesn't have any intention of reselling and is going to send in stuff that they shouldn't send in terms of value. Value-wise, bad idea to be sending in 3s to tag. Shouldn't have to tell anyone that. And if you don't know that, spend more time learning than you do grading and or spending money on Pokemon cards. As an added option, we also offered to re-encapsulate it as verified authentic if the customer prefers, though that step is completely optional. To be very clear, this situation and that of the Venusaur, woo, there's a Venusaur that had this happen too, were complete anomalies. How many anomalies can happen before it's not an anomaly? Tag has safely and meticulously graded hundreds of thousands of cards. Don't give a fuck. That's not this customer's fault. And they don't need to worry about that. They don't need to hear about that. That's not going to make their Charizard have the front side of it back in one piece. And the type of issue seen here was an outlier. We've identified what caused this incident and have already taken steps to eliminate the possibility of it happening again. What was it? What happened? What's going on? How did the front side of this thing get ripped off? Providing details. I don't know if like there's nothing proprietary there that you need to disguise. Like no other grading company is trying to rip the front side off of a card. I'm sure they weren't either. We recognize how much trust collectors place in us and how painful it is to see a cherished card affected. While rare mistakes like this cut deep, and we're committed to making things right and being accountable when they occur. Tag exists to serve collectors with a trusted service based in precision and data. In this instance, we failed to deliver that service. So, I mean, I think a lot of before this stuff is, hey, we fucked up. We're making it right for the customer. We should have to begin with. It could have been like 2 lines. Our priority now is to do it right by the collector while safeguarding the integrity of every card we grade moving forward. So here we see, you can look up the cert. Just he was the owner of the card, the person that graded the card, that owned the card, that graded the card, and that now supposedly still owns the card. I was just showing that it was legitimate, that he wasn't. People are going to be skeptical, and they're going to be like, "Oh no, Tag would never do something like that." Man, the amount of people that are like, will go out on a limb and just like live and die by like a company that doesn't give a shit about them. My apologies. When they say they're for the community and for the kids and for the collectors and shit like that, it's a business. They're trying to make money, just like all the other businesses. My apologies if that's a reality check to anyone. But the company doesn't. I mean, there is a lot of it that if people spend their money on something, they want it to retain value. Just like if we shit on PSA for the Charizard that's clearly trimmed on the bottom, the PSA 10 first edition one, and they won't do anything about it. They can see it's trimmed. You overlay it with any other card in existence, and the bottom's lopped off in a crooked manner. Point that out. People that have money in PSA slabs are going to be pissed off. People, the diehard PSA fans are going to be pissed off. I don't care. I don't think you should value any of these outside of, yes, if you want them, make sure the card inside is legitimate, that it's not altered, that it is the condition that they're stating. You need to be more of an expert than they. Buy the card, not the grade, etc., etc. You guys have all heard it before. It's important. To answer your questions directly, there was an error identified in the initial QA of the slab. A slight manufacturing imperfection that caused an imperfect reaction refraction from the slab. Okay, so the slab was faulty. The card was cracked out of the slab. While the card was being cracked out, it was unintentionally damaged in the reslabbing process. So are they doing it like they're doing it like manually? They're probably just cracking it out with pliers. Like, did someone pinch the card with the pliers? Our final QA employee failed to see the damaged card in the slab, and it was improperly shipped. We have removed that employee from the final. So we're blaming the QA person. Again, we're not going to hear the name of the QA person, but shouldn't it be the fault of whoever and whatever was taking it out of the slab? We're also investigating a technology to automate this final QA. But the QA doesn't help. The QA is not the problem here. I mean, it is part of the problem, but the major problem is the fact that you damaged the card when you're swapping it from case to case, if that is in fact what happened. We have determined, based on price charting, we're going to give them $500. Cool. If they're happy with that. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the time, these companies will be like, oh, yeah, we'll give you, like, your next grading will be free. We'll waive some fees for you. We'll bump you up to Super Premium Plus, Ultra Extreme Quickness, that kind of thing. So it doesn't cost the money. They make it right. If that's what you want, that's what you want. But I think even, like, and that's the thing, too. This is an inexpensive card, so this should have been resolved right away. It should have been like, okay, it's $500 loss. We're gonna take the hit. This person might submit with us in the future. They already did. We took some fees from them, and we jacked their Charizard up. Win. He doesn't have to make several posts on Reddit. I don't have to make a video about it. I mean, you still need to be aware that, like, any of these grading companies can damage your card. They can get lost, stolen, damaged in the mail. They can get lost, stolen, damaged at the grading company. They can get lost, damaged, stolen with a middleman. So reduce the amount of steps, grade them yourself. If that's what you want to do a lot of research before you do, because you can waste a lot of money on it. We saw it in the pandemic. Just go ask some people in the pandemic how it worked out. Go ask PSA how many cards they had left behind that weren't, the grading fees weren't even paid for because it wasn't worth it by the time people got the cards back. People were grading shit that should not have been graded. Lower grade stuff that was not rare. Part of the communication breakdown occurred because the submission account was tied to a card shop's. Okay, we're making excuses here. Again, that's for you to figure out. Figure out who it was. Find out who it was. And before you're demanding that they send the card back, tell them what the compensation is going to be. I know, crazy that we got to, and then you end up talking to the CEO to have to resolve a $500 issue. Insane in the membrane. So we got, again, there's all kinds of posts here by him. If you want to read through it, you can pause the video or you can go take a look on the old tag grading Reddit. So now we got my first order in today and have similar damage to my base at Venusaur as the Charizard guy. If this was like a one-off had to crack the slab thing, like, how did it happen again? What is going on here? We got a... One second, guys. We got someone at the door. All right. I'm back. I got to remember where I was. We got Venusaur. We got a Hitmonchan that looks like it's wet on the inside. So this is one of those things where you definitely want to make a record of what your cards look like, of the damage on your cards, of the pattern, the hollow pattern, imperfections, all of that before you send them in. Even if it's a quick video, point your webcam at that stuff so you can identify, hey, did they put more damage on my card than was originally there? But this is weird. So it seems like it's not an anomaly. It happened again to someone else. Then there's this Hitmonchan in the third picture that appears to have some sort of moisture inside of the slab. You can see some of the ink bleeding. There's a handful of other cards that came back, more damage than I remember, but since it was my first time grading, again, this is one of those things. Talk to, learn from the people that have been in the hobby for many years. Take your time. Don't rush into stuff. Don't rush into spending money on expensive stuff. Don't buy the stuff that's skyrocketing. Don't rush into grading your cards until you know whether or not it's worth grading your cards. Who to do it with, which cards to send, that sort of thing. There is a learning curve. It is a pretty steep one if you're brand new. I didn't think to take detailed pictures of every single card beforehand. Incredibly disappointed after being hyped for the last month and a half. Lesson learned, I guess. So they disabled the comments on here. We're looking into it right away. So again, it should never reach, if they reach out first to Tag's customer service, it should never reach the point where they have to make a post about it. That's kind of what we're getting into. Then we have Lance89, who says Tag damaged my Arceus during grading, and there's a lot of damage popping up here. This one is not quite the same. We don't have the old rippy dippy. They weren't trying to pull tab the card off there, but you can see here we got 0 dings on the edges and corners, and we got a pretty significant ding there on the corner. This could be that the card was dropped. Could be when they were putting it into the slab. Probably dropped. This is like one of those things where if you've ever dropped a card, try not to drop your cards. Don't put your brand new cards on just a normal table surface. Get a play mat. Make sure it's clean. Any dust, dirt, and debris that you're sliding cards around on. It also makes it easier to pick the cards up. Now, you don't have to sleeve and top load or semi-rigid a card right away. That's not a big deal. I guess this is the pre-scan. The pre-scan shows that there's no ding there, but it's dinged now. All right, before we get into the results of whether Tag did anything or not, based on my research, based on video evidence of a card being altered and submit to them, I got to bring you guys to the link tree and thank you for using it. You guys are the best. Use the link tree if you want to support the channel. The free ways to do so are the best ways. We got PSA Pikachu, Securus Card Shop, Card Market, Buyee. A couple different options there to buy stuff from Japan. We got the old spend 25, get a free 25 from Catch 'em All Collectibles collector app for tracking your collection. A bunch of discount codes for the stuff that I use and recommend. I gotta update this. I gotta add some more on there. And then also we got the old click it before you shop for the things you're buying anyway. They are affiliate links, but thank you for clicking those before you're shopping. Truly appreciate it. You guys are the reason why I do not have to take why I can make the content that I want to make. That's important. It might be boring. This one's a little long, a little lengthy, but I think it is important to get a feel for what's going on in the hobby, the bad stuff that can happen, the bad stuff that is happening, the bad people that are doing the bad stuff, so that you can avoid that and have a much better experience. That's why we're doing it. All right, so we got a Card Market. Thank you to Card Market for sponsoring. Buy singles. Don't feel like you need to buy graded cards. I mean, you can buy graded cards that people grade that they shouldn't have graded. That is definitely a thing. That is definitely something that I do. Crack them out, put them in the binder, because if they sell for less than a near mint copy, but it's an 8 or a 9, why not? Why not? Auctions are your friend. Singles are your friend. And don't feel like you need the grade stuff. That's lesson number 1. If you know anyone that's new, say, hey, don't feel. Everyone's like, yeah, but slabs are worth more. No, not always. All right. So we get into Tag here. On July 30th, I sent a message to Tag showing them video evidence that this Rayquaza Gold Star was altered. And I know what you're saying. Rattle, it's a 2. Who gives a crap? They should give a crap when they are grading, when this person is likely to submit more cards to them that have been altered. Is Tag going to do anything about it? Spoiler alert, it is still active. We're looking at the page currently that is still very active. So they're concerned about the person that had their Charizard wrecked sending it back in so no one can be impacted. But here you go. A card that has been altered. We'll take a look at how it was altered in just a second. We got the card there. And again, this is like beat to hell. Not the most, I mean, it's still probably pretty expensive. I don't know what a 2 goes for from any of the grading companies, but Gold Stars are a little pumped. Be a little weary about the Gold Star stuff. We've seen bubbles before with the Gold Stars where they skyrocket in price and then they come back down. That's kind of how it works with most things in the hobby. So here it is being polished. Here it is with the polish being rubbed around and rubbed off of it. Here it is having the edges fixed, if you will. And here it is with scissors removing part of the card. Altered. Why is Tag not doing anything about that? Maybe they're just taking their sweet time. I don't know. They seem like they were pretty gung-ho to go on Reddit and talk about how they needed to protect people from purchasing their slabs. This is one of those things where this is going to be expensive. Someone buys that. Someone finds out later, hey, that Rayquaza that I bought, the beat the hell one, or even worse, a more expensive copy or a more expensive card that has been altered. The thing with altering is just like anyone that's buying the cards does not want. We've seen examples before where altered cards, they'll be in a graded slab, they'll get a high grade. Oh, sick. But then over time, they deteriorate. Maybe whatever pressing process seems to undo itself. It sucks. It sucks that it's part of something that you need to look out for. But when the grading company is more concerned with you selling a clearly not a 7 Charizard in a 7 case, then they are just simply deactivating and banning an individual who's altered and sent this in. That's where my criticism. Again, mistakes happen. Not a mistake. They know about it. They heard about it directly from me. They have not done anything about it. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this was educational. Help your friends out that are new to the hobby. Make sure they not that anyone can ever become scam proof, but pointing them in the opposite direction of the newbie traps is the best thing that you can possibly do for them. Remind them to not buy from rip and ship stuff if they're looking to save money. Remind them to not open product if they're looking to save money. Remind them to not rush into grading cards. It's rough out there. Stay away from it. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.